I'm Karen Fort Hood, and I'm a sitting judge in Detroit, Michigan, in the criminal court. I said that because I'll tie that in with the stress and all the factors that bring me here today. But at any rate, I have been diagnosed with lupus-related lung disease, which has caused me to cough continuously for about the last 3 years. Um, I was diagnosed officially, this is 2000, I was diagnosed officially back in 98. I had been to 8 or 9 doctors all over Michigan trying to find out what was wrong with me. Why was I having joint pains? Why was I coughing so much? I was very confused, and no one could find anything. They said, well, maybe you have asthma. They went through all types of diseases, but no one could really find out what was a proper diagnosis. I eventually was on my way to the Mayo Clinic when someone said, you're in the best, in Michigan, you have one of the best hospitals. And ended up going up to University of Michigan, at which time, after a number of batteries of tests, I finally was diagnosed with lupus. It also entailed surgery where I had an open lung biopsy, and after taking out a piece of my lung, they were finally able to make the diagnosis. And I have been treating uh, since then. I have been on steroids, large amounts of steroids. Um, and I'm also taking immunosuppressant drugs, a drug called Imuran, as well as another drug called quinacrine, and really just a number of drugs. And it's just been very traumatic taking all these medications every day. But I do it because the doctors say you've got to do that to live. Well, every 3 months I have to go back to the University of Michigan for a checkup, take pulmonary function tests, MRIs, CAT scans, chest x-rays. And each time I've been back, although I'm full of energy, I'm going to work every day and I'm doing a million things, I'm running for re-election, I still feel really, really good, but I'm still coughing. And so when I went 3 months ago for my checkup, they said, 2 months ago actually, you are still coughing, and if you keep on like this, you won't be here, because every time you come, your little pulmonary function test declines a little bit more. And obviously, over time, a little bit more decrease in lung functioning does not have a very happy picture. And so they said, so when you come back in 3 months, we're going to start you on chemotherapy, on Cytoxin. And of course you'll lose your hair, and even though you're functioning very high, I exercise every day, and as I said, I get to work at 7:30, even though you have all this high functioning, it will be very debilitating for you, and you will have a much less quality of life. And it just didn't make sense to me. It just seems to me that there had to be another answer. And I began to talk with someone, just talk to people, because I was so frustrated. And finally one day I was talking to someone that says, you know what? You need to learn about macrobiotics. You won't have to do all of this. And that's really how I became involved. And I made a call. She gave me a number. I called Rose Parker, who was a graduate of the Clushy Institute. And I told her the problem. She said, oh, come see me. And she happened, by the grace of God, she lived right around the corner from me. And we had never met. And she came to my home. She set up my kitchen. She would come over and help me to learn how to cook. I would go to her house for meals. And we've been doing this for 8 months. And I'm feeling better and better, more energetic. My next appointment at U of M is in 2 more months. And after meeting with Michio yesterday, where he put me on a very, very, very strict regimen, and he assured me that I was looking well, and he was really pleased with what he saw. He also told me what I was doing wrong: too much chicken, too much dairy food from the past, and all the sugars and the things we put in it. But basically, he instilled such a hope for me, such a wonderful. I am so uplifted, because he says, if you do this macrobiotic diet for 6 months, I know they told you that you were going to die, which they did. And he says, you do this for 6 months, come back and see me in 6 months when you're cured. And so we're going to wean off the medication, and I'm standing on my faith. I pray every day, and it's been the foundation for everything. And I just feel better already. And so I'm going home with just a whole new attitude, a whole new commitment. Because one of the things about the macrobiotic program for me, I've enjoyed every bit of it. But of course, I've had my occasional slips where I've done things. Well, now that I know that there's hope, then I am so inspired to really do 100%, to do whatever it takes for me in I mean, you can do anything for 6 months. And for the next 6 months, I'm really looking forward to just having the macrobiotic diet and the macrobiotic way of life. And one thing I want to say lastly, uh, in 1973, on June 19th, on June the 19th, I woke up and I was paralyzed. And I was in a wheelchair. And I stayed in the wheelchair for 4 months in Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. And I went through many, many, many tests and never through all the years was there a diagnosis as to what happened. I mean, it was just a sudden thing and no one knew. And so finally, 2 years ago when I went to University of Michigan to begin treatment, they said, you know, that was when your lupus first hit in 1973. It hit your spinal cord when nobody knew what was wrong with you all of that time. And it has stayed dormant. And I just find that amazing how the body works. But during that time, and for the next 20 whatever years between 73 and now, and 2 years ago, I was never sick again. And so I'm just really excited at the fact that of the renewed health and the renewed invigoration, and I'm just looking forward to the macrobiotic way of life. It's really strange, but it's been like a blessing. You know, if you can imagine sickness being a blessing, but it's made me appreciate life so much more. To smell the roses, to take time for my family, and the biggest thing is it's really brought me closer to God. My prayer life is just wonderful, and it's just been a blessing. It really is. And I just take every day, and every day when I smell and I breathe, take deep breaths, I just praise God. Yes, it's changed a lot.